good morning, hello, happy afternoon, whatever time of day it is. I'm so thankful to have you here with me. I'm Allie. I am the founder of Fit.By Allie. I am a fitness coach and I'm super excited that you're here. I want to do an introduction video and kind of put this out there so that way anybody who's interested in working with me knows my background, knows the beliefs that I have, and understands where those beliefs had come from. Because I think it is too common in today's society and the fitness culture that coaches will just preach whatever beliefs they hear, whatever beliefs they see, they find to their clients, and it might not be something that they had implemented themselves or that they believed themselves until they heard it on the internet, which to each their own. Beliefs are allowed to change, things are allowed to change, but I very much believe that for a client's success, the coach and the client need to mesh very well together. And so I think knowing the background of somebody's journey is super important. I'm going to get to know the background of your journey, so I think it's only fair that you get to know the background of mine as well. So jumping in, my journey really started in early 2016. Further back than that, I will touch very briefly on high school really quickly. In high school, I was an athlete. I was a cheerleader. And yes, it is a sport. That's a whole different thing. Yes, it is a sport. Moving on off my soapbox. I was a cheerleader in high school. When I graduated high school, I was very small, around 115 to 120 pounds. I am 5'2", so for reference. Fast forward, so that was 2012, fast forward to 2016, I had just exited a long-term relationship. This relationship was not a healthy relationship, and that reflected in my self-care as well. I neglected proper nutrition, definitely overate, did not eat things that were super healthy for me, and I also had a gym membership that I never used. The thought was there, but it was never acted upon. And kind of, one thing led to another through that relationship, and exiting the relationship, I weighed the heaviest that I have ever weighed. I was just about 200 pounds exiting the relationship. So 2016 happens, relationship is over. I go in for my womanly checkup, and the whole thing is done, blood tests, all of the good things that are normally done. And a few days later, my doctor calls me back into the office to kind of go over results, and she brings up that my blood work came back pre-diabetic. Immediately, my heart dropped. I'm 22 years old, almost 200 pounds, and I'm diagnosed pre-diabetic. I still get very emotional talking and reliving this, because that was really the turning point and the start of my journey for me. My biological grandma on my dad's side had diabetes. She, most amazing woman, kindest heart, but the diabetes, she was probably pushing, I would guess, around 350 to 400 pounds. She was a very heavy woman, and there were different things growing up that flashed in my head and said, this is what your life is going to be if you continue down the path. I grew up watching her. She lost her eyesight. She, had to watch what she was eating constantly, testing her blood sugar, poking herself with needles. There was one point that she had gotten hurt, and the fire trucks and ambulance had to come and help her, and it took multiple men to help get her out of the house. And for me, that was exactly where I flashed my life would be if I did not clean my shit up, essentially. And I know that is very 0 to 100, but in moments like that, it's very hard to not kind of think of the ultimatum, right? And that's very much where my brain tends to go is, all right, what does that look like for me? What does that mean for me? And at 22, when the doctor told me that, that's exactly where my brain went. I left the appointment in tears. And it was the most interesting thing because up until that appointment, I did not see the weight gain. I did not notice that I had put on so much weight through the relationship. You know, obviously I had to buy new clothes and those kinds of things throughout the relationship. But kind of in general, my family is more on the heavier set side. So it was not something that really stood out to me as different. And so it was, you know, it was normal. I didn't think anything of it. And after that appointment, it almost was like a light switch happened. And I all of a sudden saw myself completely different in the mirror. And, you know, it was very eye-opening and very awakening to have that experience. And that's where my journey started. I immediately went to YouTube and started finding fitness influencers. Nikki Blacketer, Whitney Simmons, Buff Bunny, Christian Guzman. Those are just some of the like 4 people that my journey, foundation of my journey, that's where I started. YouTube and watching their videos, following their routines and what they were doing. I eventually graduated and found like Stephanie Buttermore and Jeff Neopard and those people as well, but it wasn't until later on in my journey, which the first 2.5 years of my journey were very self-taught. But so YouTube started, and I started going to the gym, which was very hit and miss. I didn't find the joy in the gym at first. I would go and I didn't know how to do the weight section. My weight knowledge was limited to what I learned in high school weight class. So not a lot. But learned about, you know, weights and those kinds of things, but I did very much stick to cardio and high intensity workouts. That's generally what I saw a lot of people doing, so that's kind of what I did. And I didn't really love it. So I would only go to the gym 2, maybe 3 times a week. And the start of my journey very much started, and the momentum started with diet. Now, it was not healthy. I just be very blatantly honest. I was very, very restrictive at the beginning of my journey, like very restrictive. I went through a phase where I did lose my period. Now I know this as amenorrhea. But at the time I just thought it was normal. I thought that was part of my losing weight. It's okay, like I'm going to be getting skinnier, like it's gonna be perfectly fine. But after about 5 months of that, I did seek my doctor's help, and we then started to talk about building knowledge on calories and intake and those kinds of things. And so it wasn't until about 6 months into my journey that I started tracking my food and keeping track of my food. Now, that's not saying that it went super smooth and easy afterwards, because it didn't. This was about the time that the keto diet was first coming on the market. So, you know, your girl tried keto because it was supposed to be super amazing and game-changing. Tried keto, that was a hot freaking mess. And a few months after keto, so I would say I'm just shy of a year into my journey at this point, I did go vegetarian. And this was a completely personal decision, not something that needs to be done whatsoever. I'm not vegetarian anymore, but I did go vegetarian, and that lasted for about 2.5 years. This was a really good way for me to be in a calorie deficit. I also found that it opened my doors to different foods and trying different foods very much. Um, this was not taken lightly by my mom. I love you, Mom. And she became very fully supportive, but at first when I had the conversation with her, I believe her exact quote was, "Allison, you have ate meat for the last 23 years of your life. Why are you going to stop eating meat now?" And, it was very much a conversation that I had to educate her. It was very much on the functionality of my body. I did not have regular bowel movements. And I did not ever feel like I had a ton of energy. Even when I figured out how to count my calories appropriately and eat them, I just did not feel good. So I went vegetarian. And then I continued my cardio and HIIT style workouts. It wasn't until about 2018, or fast forwarding quite a bit, I was down to about 145 pounds beginning of 2018, so about 2 years forward. I was about 145 pounds, and I was introduced to weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting to be specific, and this was intimidating because I had never thrown around a barbell. When I was introduced to it, I was excited because it was something new to try, but I was also very nervous. And of course, flash in my head, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to become like Mean Green Fine Machine. Like, I didn't want to be bulky. I didn't want to be a muscular woman. Like, in my head, I was thinking like the bubble muscles and I didn't want that for myself. So I was very nervous to start. So that was a very slow transition into weightlifting. But as I transitioned, my muscle mass started going up, and I found that the 1,500 calories that I was eating at was not sustainable for me anymore. And this was like, what the hell? What am I doing? So it was around that point that I decided to start really educating myself on fitness. And I had been self-teaching, and I had been learning about like proper nutrition and workouts and different styles and everything like that. But this was the point that I decided I really, really wanted to learn about how fitness and nutrition kind of came hand in hand, and how it affected your journey. About 3 months into that journey, I was like, you know what? I want to do this. I want to teach other people how to take care of their body. Like, I love what it's done for me, what I've been able to do and change my life, the confidence that I feel, the empowerment that I feel when I'm lifting these weights. So it was about 2.5, almost 3 years into my journey when I decided that I wanted to be a coach. So continued weightlifting. We're going to fast forward about another year now. So mid-2019, I weightlifting for about a year. At this point, I had dropped probably about 10 pounds. And for me, this was kind of surprising. I was very comfortable at 145 pounds. I felt good. I felt like my body looked great. I was very confident. So as I continued to lose weight, I was like, oh, hey, this is kind of cool. This is neat. But I got to the leanest point I had ever been at that time. And I was ecstatic with the changes in my body. And it was about mid-2019 when I was introduced to the world of CrossFit. And this was also, just like lifting was at first, this was very intimidating for me as well, because I was like, holy, you mean I have to pick up all of these weights, do all of this, and cardio, then come back and do more of this, then cardio, then this, and cardio, then it seemed so crazy to me that people were able to do this, but I was like, hey, let's give it a try. I loved the community and the feel that I got from the gym. So I decided to start giving it a try. At around the same time that I started CrossFit, I did start working with an MLM. I started working with Beachbody. And I thought, okay, this is cool. I can start coaching. I have a platform to be able to reach women virtually and be able to deliver virtually to them workouts, because at this point I had my personal training certification, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I knew I didn't want to be in a gym because I didn't want the restrictions of a gym, having to push supplements and products and stuff like that to make money. And so I was like, oh great, an online platform, more freedom, this is going to be fantastic. And I found myself very disappointed in the process because, and nothing against Beachbody, the videos are great, they are good workouts, but there is no progression plan to them. And the coaches that you work with are not necessarily coaches. It is a pyramid scheme. It is all about making money and pushing product to make that money. It was not about the health and wellness of the women that I was working with. So I was very disappointed in the experience that I was having, the coaching that I was having. And I was like, is this what I want to be doing? Like, if this is how it is, do I want to do this? And I was really questioning myself, but I knew in my heart of hearts that, like, yes, I wanted to be able to work with people and help them. And so I decided to step away from Beachbody early 2020, timeline back, early 2020, decided to step away from Beachbody. And I was kind of left at a drawing board where I was like, okay, well, how are we going to do this? And at that point, I found a coach who was already established online, and she was offering business courses of how to set up an online coaching business. I went through that, and Fit.By was born in June of 2020. And followed, and I converted. The first women that I worked with were people that I converted from Beachbody over. I was like, look, I've loved being with you and helping you and encouraging you, but I want to be more hands-on, and this is the route that I want to go. And for those OG babes, I'm so appreciative for them transferring over and believing in me enough to start their journey and trust me. They were very much my guinea pigs in learning to write programming and establishing programming for other people, establishing all my mindset work that we do. Everything went through them first. It was very much, how does this look? Does it look okay? And by September of 2020, I was large enough to establish as an LLC, and I did so. And that was one of the most, oh my God, this is actually happening moments in my life. So at this point, I had also been lifting and doing all of the things, and I was feeling very empowered and very happy in my body. I was pulling more weight than I had ever pulled in my entire life, and this was something that I was so happy and so ecstatic about, and a passion that I just want to share and talk to anybody. Like, family members, how's life? I bring up lifting. Friends that I haven't seen forever, what have you been up to? Lifting. Like, it's literally my life at this point. So, end of 2020 rolls around, and I decided to take a leap of faith and step away from my corporate job that I had been working in conjunction to figuring out all of this coaching stuff. And I stepped away in December of 2020 and haven't looked back since. I have been so blessed. Before I had even stepped away, I had, obviously enough income that I had to establish as an LLC per government regulations, which was fantastic and amazing. And then after I stepped away, it was like the blessings continued to come because I continued to grow and scale and being able to help so many women. It was very baffling to me at first because I was like, wait, like this is happening. What I want to do is happening. So fast forward now, where I'm at in my journey, I still very much strength train, and I attribute the success, my physique, the continued weight loss to strength training. I was able to recomposition my body to a point where I was very happy and I loved where I'm at. And now I get to share my education, my passion with other women who want to continue to help themselves succeed or start getting in that point of strength building and learning about fitness and learning how to nourish and take care of their bodies appropriately. And I'm so excited and I'm so blessed to be doing it. And again, I want to thank you for being here with me. And I hope this is a good insight to who I am as a person in my journey. And I would love to answer any questions that you might have. So shoot them over my way if you do have any questions. But check out my other videos that I have. I'm going to have some recipe videos and then I'm going to have a great workout video as well. So make sure you check out those too. And thank you so much for being here. Bye.